So let's start solving this exercise together, and we will simply print a nice message to the user. So it will go something like this. So printf, enter a 3-digit number, okay? So then the user is going to insert his number, and we need to store it inside of num, let's say int num. So printf, enter a 3-digit number, and read it using the scanf function, and store it using the %d placeholder, store it inside the variable num. So that's basically the first step that we have to do. We will assume that the user will not insert, I don't know, 5 or a 10 or a 10,000, so that the calculations will be okay. And now what we have to do is to calculate from this num to extract the units, the tens, and the hundreds. So for that we have to create, for example, let's say 3 additional variables. Of course, it's not mandatory. We can also just use it all of these calculations in the printing line, but still I would like to do that. So let's do it like this: int units, tens, and hundreds. And now let's say we had our example like 531. So in this case we know that units will be equal to 1, tens will be equal to 3, and hundreds will be equal to 5, okay? Just like that. And now what we have to understand is simply to take this information, okay? So we know that units will be equal to 1, which is the rightmost digit in a 3-digit number. So how should we get the units out of this number? What do you think, guys? Take a second to think about it and pause the video, and once you're back, let's continue to talk about it. So the units can be calculated in a very easy approach. We can say that if we take this number and we use a remainder and divide it by 10, for example, right? Then if we just divide it by 10, we will get 53, okay? But if we divide it with a remainder by 10, we will simply get the remainder of the division operation of 531 by 10. So it will be simply 1. So we simply take num and use a remainder and divide it by 10. So units equals to num modulo 10. And now what we have to do is, for example, let's calculate the hundreds. So the hundreds is the leftmost digit. And the hundreds is how many hundreds, full hundreds, do we have in a 3-digit number. And that's also not complicated. You simply take num and divide it by 100. So how many full hundreds will get into num? This will be the hundreds digit, okay? So in this case, if we divide 531 by 100, we will get 5, okay? So units, we got it. Hundreds, we got it. The only thing that remains for us to calculate is the tens digit. So how basically should you approach it? So there are actually a couple of ways to calculate it, to calculate this middle digit. One of the ways is simply to do the following. Let's say if we take 531 and divide it by 10, okay, so for example, if we divide it by 10, we will get, what will we get? We will get 53, right? And if we have 53, we know how this rightmost character can be calculated, right? Just by using this modulo 10, this remainder of the division by 10. So we simply may say that tens will be equal, okay, to num divided by 10, okay, which will give us the total amount of full tenth that this number represents. And this value, we will simply use a remainder of 10 to find the rightmost digit inside of it. So I hope that's clear. You have to find the units, the tens, and the hundreds. And now all that is left for us to do is simply print the result to the screen. So how you do it? Using the printf function, the total sum of digits in %d in a given num is %d. So the first percentage d, the first placeholder, is the num, right? Because we describe it, so num. And afterwards we have another percentage d, which will simply be the sum of units, tens, and hundreds, which will be just like this, tens and hundreds, hundreds, okay? Semicolon at the end. So let's try to build and run it and see what happens. So build and run it, enter a 3-digit number. So in our example, what did we have? We have 531. So the total sum of digits in 531 is 9, exactly as we expected. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Let's use additional example and simply use here, I don't know, 247. And the total sum of digits in 247 is 13. Just let's make sure of it. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 7 is 13. So it seems to be working properly, correctly. And I hope that all the steps here, I tried to do my best to make them as practical and understandable to you guys as possible. So, yeah, I guess this is it for this video. Very important to understand the concepts, the concept of units, tens, and hundreds. It will guide us during this course in additional exercises, in more complicated topics, in more advanced topics. But if you will understand the main principle and the main concept of how you should work with them at this moment, there should be actually no problems later on. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. My name is Vlad. This is Alpha Tech. And until the next video, until the next exercise, I wish you a great day.